a calendar fills with meetings, and the most important relationships still get postponed for another week. Ambition feels urgent, but the path forward remains vague because no circle of allies exists. Isolation grows when work is treated as a solo sport, and reaching out is seen as manipulation. That belief keeps people quiet until a crisis arrives, when the request feels transactional and urgent. Opportunities often travel through people, so weak relationships limit learning, referrals, and second chances. When help is missing, setbacks feel final because there is no network to provide guidance and support. Imagine finishing a long day, scrolling through contacts and realizing most names belong to strangers from old events. The next morning brings another chance to connect, but fear of bothering people keeps the phone silent. We will explore generosity, mission, early relationship building, outreach skills, and follow-up that turns contacts into friends. This video is inspired by Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi and Tahl, and subscribe for practical routines that build a generous network. Generosity is the starting rule, because when people feel helped instead of used, connections grow. Connecting works as a constant process of giving and receiving, including asking for help when needed. Keeping score breaks the system because favours become debts and people protect themselves instead of sharing freely. When generosity is normal, trust rises and introductions multiply, making the circle more valuable for everyone. One professional met a peer for coffee and asked for an introduction to a studio executive. The peer refused, saying he wanted to save relationship equity, showing how scarcity thinking blocks progress. That scarcity view treats goodwill as finite, so sharing becomes risky, and people avoid making introductions. A healthier view expects equity to grow through use, because trust compounds when help circulates repeatedly. Start by offering value without a hidden agenda, because a generous reputation makes later requests feel natural. Practice asking for help with humility, then repay by introducing others, because the network expands through circulation. Clear relationships work best when they serve a mission, as direction shapes who you meet and why. The blue flame is where passion and ability intersect, pointing toward work that sustains effort. Without a mission, outreach becomes random, and the network stays shallow because no shared purpose guides it. Written goals transform wishes into commitments, as paper forces specificity, dates, and measurable steps. The networking action plan breaks planning into 3 parts: goals, helpers, and the best ways to reach them. Working backward from a 3-year aim into 1-year and 3-month targets makes the next call obvious. A friend named Jamie wanted to teach, listed schools and contacts, and quickly entered certification and hiring pipelines. Her progress accelerated because each accomplished step expanded her teaching contacts, and those contacts supported later steps. Add a personal board of advisors, as outside voices keep you accountable when excitement fades or fear returns. Write 1 mission sentence and 1 next step this week, then identify 1 person to contact and 1 way to help them. Relationships are built long before a crisis strikes, as waiting until you need help makes every request feel forced. The common myth is that networking starts during job searches, but the practice actually begins when life seems stable. Early outreach matters because trust takes time and credibility cannot be rushed during stressful moments. Offering help through shared projects and volunteer work creates proof of character before any business discussion arises. A young public relations worker planned to build a firm first, then start searching for clients after quitting his job. He was told the order was backwards, and he should meet future clients now and help on shared causes first. This approach keeps friendships real, as people are met as humans instead of being treated as targets. Visibility also matters, as disappearing makes you forgettable, and consistency keeps the circle active. Schedule regular meals and small gatherings, and mix people from different parts of your world to widen the circle. If you want routines for building relationships before you need them and staying visible, subscribe for weekly scripts and checklists. Reaching out works better when you do your homework, as personalization cuts through the noise of generic pitches. Research shared interests and mention them openly because people feel respected when you care enough to learn details. Preparation speeds trust, as it turns a stranger into someone with a real point of connection. A good cold call stays brief and aims for a meeting, because real decisions and friendships form face to face. When a senior leader was hard to reach, a note landed in his hands and returned a simple agreement to meet. The next move was returning to the assistant with that reply and treating the gatekeeper as an ally. Taking names means listing the people who can help your mission, then organising their information carefully. A simple system for notes, reminders, and context keeps outreach consistent instead of relying on memory under stress. When you call, propose a specific time and place, and leave room to adjust without sounding vague. Make one research habit and one list updating habit daily, and your outreach becomes easier and more natural. Follow-up is the difference between a brief encounter and a lasting bond, as most people never do it. Send a note within 12 to 24 hours, and you will stand out in someone's crowded memory. Pinging keeps relationships warm, as short messages maintain visibility without demanding long conversations. Value-add pings share congratulations, articles, or small advice, signaling you are thinking about the other person. After a speech, one new contact wrote the first simple thank you message before the night ended. That early message stayed memorable because it was personal, timely, and asked for a future coffee without pressure. Consistency matters, as staying visible across lunches, conferences, and messages prevents you from fading away. Anchor tenants widen your circle, as one respected guest makes others from different levels willing to join dinner. Social arbitrage adds value through knowledge, so summarize a useful idea and pass it to people who need it. At conferences, create deep connections by introducing people to each other and leaving with clear follow-up plans. The real advantage is not being popular. It is building a community where help moves in both directions. That community forms when generosity replaces scorekeeping and connection becomes a daily practice. Define a mission and set goals, then list the people and places that can advance those goals. Build a circle before you need it. Do your homework, treat gatekeepers well, and make your request specific. Over time, visibility and follow-up turn acquaintances into allies who share information, introductions, and support. Work becomes less fragile because setbacks are buffered by mentors, friends, and a habit of mutual assistance. Start with one lunch this week and one written follow-up that thanks the person and names the next step. Then add a weekly ping that offers value and keep your contact notes current so you never disappear. When each action is small and repeated, relationships accumulate into a network that carries goals farther than efforts alone. If you want more examples of outreach messages, follow-up templates, and relationship routines, subscribe for new breakdowns you can practice every week.